So on behalf of Veronica and the Dog Biz team, I want to welcome you to the Coronavirus Response for Dog Pro web seminar. Thank you all for being here and for coming together as a community to support each other. As I said before we got started, as dog pros, we all share a common goal, and that's to help dogs. And it's in that spirit that we're having this conversation today. We hope we can help support you as you face these difficult business challenges and business decisions that are changing almost daily with this crisis. This won't be the last time that you get support from Dog Biz. You'll hear more about the support that we have planned for you a little later. I do want you to know, though, that if you want to stay up to date on the most current support materials, make sure you like and are following the Dog Biz Facebook page and the Dog Walking Academy Facebook pages if you're a dog walker, because we will keep you up to date on where to access the resources we have available there. So that's a good place to keep in touch with us. There are a few people of you on the call today who may not be familiar with Dog Biz. So if everyone will just give us a minute, I want to make sure that everyone knows who we are and where they can get information from us. Our web address is dogbizsuccess.com. I will tell you, if you try to go there right this moment, Chrome is having some kind of problem, and so it's a little bit wonky. We're on it. We'll figure out what's happening there, but generally you can visit the website and get lots of information, including information about our backgrounds there. Since you can't do that, I will give you a really quick rundown of who's here and going to be talking at you today. Veronica Baltel is our founder and mastermind of Dog Biz. Give us a wave. In addition to running the company for 17 years, Veronica works with dog pros around the world and might just be the best diplomat and cheerleader I know. So we're very lucky to have her with us today. Behind the scenes, helping you out in the chat pod is Tia Guest. She is business consultant extraordinaire. I will not tell you how long she's been helping people become dog pros and helping them with their businesses, because she might start throwing things at the screen at me. I will just tell you that she is really good and knows her stuff, and we're lucky to have her with us. So thanks for being here. If you're wondering who I am, I'm Gina Ferris. I have the great privilege of working with these amazing women and also of working with many of you through consulting, in addition to a few other things that I do at Dog Biz. So that's a little bit about us.
A few other things, yeah, it's a little bit of an understatement there.
Yeah. A few. Today, a lot, but okay. All right, we have a roadmap for today's discussion, but we really want to hear what your concerns and questions are. Some of you emailed them ahead of time. That's great. We use those to inform our roadmap today. We just want to encourage you, don't wait till the end. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat right now. Tia is furiously gathering them together to help us stay organized, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. While you are doing that, we will start to answer some of the most common questions that we've been getting over the last week or two. I want to give the floor to Veronica to give you a welcome, but before I do that, I just wanted to say a few words myself. That while we are all going through these challenging times, and in fact, we may be going through these challenging times for some time ahead, these times present an opportunity for innovation. Historically, if you take a look at large innovations in large companies, you will often see the common denominator that those innovations were preceded by a period of crisis or unrest. And while no one has gone through a pandemic or, a crisis quite like this, so our challenges are going to be new and different, we're going to be navigating them together, they do still present some opportunities for some of our businesses to explore new ways of doing things. I suspect that very quickly, we are all going to learn which services we can deliver remotely and how best to do that, which could change the landscape for how we help dogs and who we help. So just all kinds of opportunities that might present themselves. Let's stay positive and focus on those. I think that's a good way to kind of head into uncertain times, is to take a hold of what we can do. So let's stay calm. Let's adapt to our clients' changing needs, and they are changing, some of them daily. And it's going to mean that instead of thinking of our businesses from our perspective, the services that we currently offer, today we're going to start thinking about what do our clients need and how can we help them. And so that's kind of the framework for our call today. So I'll turn it over to Veronica for a minute now.
Thank you. Again, I just echo what Gina says. I'm really glad to have you here. It's wonderful to be with you. We sure wish it were under better circumstances. But, you know, in addition to this notion of making sure we're thinking about what we can do for others, I also want you to think about what you can do for yourself. And one of the biggest things is to recognize that although there are so many unknowns right now and there's so much that's outside of our control, there are things that are inside of our control. And one of the biggest things you can do for yourself is to look for the places where we do have agency. And that's a big part of what we're going to be talking about today is what can you control? What can you do? Both because it allows you to put yourself in the very best position through this, and especially in the very best position afterward, but also because taking action is the best antidote I know to anxiety, right? Is, you know, feeling out of control is such a horrible, uncomfortable feeling. If we grab the agency where we can, we just put ourselves in a better place to get through this and to the other side.
That's excellent. Well, lots of questions are coming in. They've got some common threads. I think one that is just really at the forefront, or a good place to start anyway, is to start thinking about, there's some questions about what services do I provide right now and when do I switch to alternative services. So that might be a good place, and what alternative services to switch to. So that might be a good place for us to start. Veronica, do you want to start that, or do you want me to?
Yeah, so in terms of alternative services, you know, one of the things is we want to start so you're thinking about the kinds of things that you already do, the ways that you already help people, the reason that people come to you in the first place, and think about how can I do that differently now in terms of staying safe and keeping everyone safe, but not retracting what people are coming for in the first place. And so, for example, as trainers, a lot of you are already thinking about how can I do this remotely? How can I do this virtually? We really, really encourage that. Thinking about how to get on and do the same things that you do from a virtual standpoint. A lot of you are sending in questions about how to do that. The simplest way is just going to be using technology like Zoom. And you don't have to be super tech savvy, neither do your clients. This is something you can do for classes as well. And I think it's especially important in class settings where it's so much more challenging to create social distancing. So looking at ways to set up, they're going to be a little bit different, right? In that students aren't necessarily going to be able to see and interact with each other as easily, but they're still going to be able to access your expertise. They're still going to be able to get the advice and the guidance that they came to you for in the first place. In the spirit of what Gina was talking about earlier in terms of thinking about what are people going to need, their needs are going to be somewhat similar and somewhat different now, right? I mean, you know, dogs still do all the same things that dogs have already done. And so your consults and your classes are going to want to address those, but also think about what else is coming up now, you know, especially in areas, this is something that that Gina's currently struggling with in areas where kids are home from school now. And so parents are juggling kids and dogs and all of the chaos of that, and dogs may be getting less exercise than they were getting before, especially in areas where we're looking at closures of daycare and dog walking services and that sort of thing. And so what sorts of things could you be doing? So for example, daytime classes that get kids and dogs involved together virtually. Or thinking about classes that address stir-crazy, under-exercised dogs, classes that are about enrichment and games and ways that you can occupy a dog's mind during the day, and also thinking about all the people who are working from home, and thinking about what kind of a virtual work from home course could you put together to help people, both with things like, you know, enrichment and self-soothing and things like that, but also simple things like being able to ask their dog to go to their bed and lie down and stay for a while, and what they can do to help their dog, you know, occupy with that, so that they can be working on their email and not losing that computer time. So just sort of thinking outside the box about how do you continue to offer the same services you've always offered in a different context, but also what additional kinds of things might people need that you could fulfill.
Yeah, if as a parent at home with kids, I will say that they have more free time on their hands than I do right now. And so maybe it's a virtual class specifically for kids and their dogs. They're all working virtually, or many of them are working virtually, because that's where their classrooms are right now. So they're getting really comfortable with the technology. And so, you know, tricks or games that they can play to keep them both occupied for parents. Sign me up. I want to take that class if you have one, because that's just really, really helpful right now. And I think, like Veronica said, settle enrichment ideas and enrichment tips, things that they can do. Just think about what are their needs right now, as compared to maybe what they were. You know, loose leash walking was popular a month ago, maybe not so much right now. Let's focus on those things, those skills that they really need in that home setting. Some of you are in shelter in place already, and so people are not going out. Some of you are not yet and are asking questions about, you know, how long should I book out? How long should I keep services going? And I will say, we are not health experts. You need to make sure you're staying abreast of what the CDC is saying, and the World Health Organization is another good place to take a look at their websites. But also you need to stay current on what your local health department is telling you. And they're updating their websites every day with advice about whether or not, you know, how much contact you can have, not have, whether to have things. So we're going to refer you to them, and because it's so different for each one of you. I will say, keep some things in mind if you are offering services right now, some things to help you make the decision about if and when to make the switch, are things like, what kinds of services am I offering, right? One-on-one versus group activity. Who are your clientele? Are they an at-risk group or not? How urgent are the kinds of cases that you're taking right now? Is it basic manners versus puppy? Who are you serving? Are they first responders who are not home for very long periods of day, and you may be the only help they have? So just think about, when you start thinking about what risks to take or not take right now, again, first and foremost, follow your local guidelines, and then also think about, how can I keep everyone safe? What's most prudent, with some of those things in mind. If you can offer a service remotely, then I think now is a good time to do that. And we'll talk some more about that, I think, in just a minute. Anything else on that, Veronica?
No. I think we should we also want to think about, you know, some of you are doing the training services, some of you are doing other things like daycare and that sort of thing as well. And so, you know, if you are in an area where you're still running daycare, you want to think about how you can adjust the services to make them as safe as possible, and communicating that to clients. And that includes things like thinking about curbside pickup and drop off, so that you're not asking, you know, people to come into the lobby and interact and that sort of thing. You can go out to the car to pick up. If you're in an area where your facility is closing down, or you're thinking about doing that to be, you know, to proactively protect yourself and your staff, then thinking of.
You're cutting in and out. You're not with us at the moment.
Things like, I think you just lost me for a second. Am I back on?
Yeah,
sorry about that. That can include things like doing virtual meetups, where you're guiding people in their homes and games with their dogs and enrichment activities and things like that. You can do that by video. You could do that by live streaming the way we are here. So again, just thinking about all the different ways that you can be creative around that. It could be that you start sending your clients activity boxes, things that keep them busy at home, that don't require any face-to-face interaction with others, where they're used to having their dogs out with you all day, occupied and coming home tired at night. Now that's not happening for their dogs, and maybe they're working from home as well. So rather than them starting to go stir crazy when their dogs are going stir crazy, can you give them a package each week of things that they can use to keep their dogs busy with? And that could be something that you deliver to their doorstep that's very carefully sanitized. It can be something that you're sending through the mail, but just really thinking outside the box about how you can continue to offer services in some way, even if you can't do it the way that you're accustomed to doing it.
Yeah, I love some of those ideas. I love the idea of coming up with yard games. So everybody needs a breath of fresh air at some point. What can we do and play for those who are fortunate enough to have yards? What are some yard games, whether it's just, hide and seek or find it or that kind of thing? I think, things that are easy, low stress for people to do, that they can do right at home would be great. Other ideas or tips that you want to share there, Veronica? For those, I wanted to say for those daycares that are in parts of the country that are in operation, really consider going to a concierge service, possibly, where people are not coming in and out of your facility. They're driving up. Your staff is going out, picking the dog up and taking them into your facility. Those are some, just again, whatever ways we can do to help keep our clients safe. Now's the time to look at that kind of stuff too. Other things on that one, Veronica?
No, I think that's fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay. We've got some questions around the ethics of selling right now, and what do we charge? Do we really discount our rates? Everyone's going to be working virtually. What do we do with our rates? So maybe we should take that category next.
Yeah, so, it's really interesting. We're getting a lot of these questions both in here and privately about, is it okay to continue to offer your services? Is it ethical to continue to offer your services? And absolutely it is. So I want to step back for a second and just think a little bit about the overall situation, remembering that, first of all, people still have a lot of the same challenges that they've always had with their dogs, a lot of the same needs they've always had, and they have some new ones too. People still need your expertise. The other thing to keep in mind is that although many, many people, and there'll probably be more to come, are being financially impacted by this, the majority of people still have the same income that they've had before, and they still have the financial wherewithal to come to you. There's also the bigger picture of keeping the economy moving as well, right? And so, that there are big picture advantages to both to you individually in your businesses and to the economy as well, to keep as much of it moving as possible. So that's something to think about too. That there's, sorry, Gina?
I was going to say, and along with that, there's the big picture of making sure we keep dog professionals in business, because when we are no longer in shelter in place, these dogs are really going to need us, and these families are going to need us. But we have to be able to stay in business to be there at the end of things. So it's also really important for dogs that we stay here.
Right. And so if you've had much contact with us before, you know that we spend a lot of our time trying to convince dog professionals not to feel guilty about making a living. You got to double down on that right now. It really is okay to be paid for your services, to keep yourself afloat, to be there for people now and in the future as well. And it doesn't mean that you can't share some of your expertise for free too, right? I mean, we've always encouraged community education approaches, community marketing approaches anyway, in terms of putting out bulletins, putting out email blasts, sharing great information on your social media pages, putting out a great newsletter, all of that sort of thing. You can do all of that because there are going to be plenty of people in your community who can't access your professional services, just like there are right now and like there were before all of this happened. But it doesn't mean that you can't still charge for the services that professional services that you provide. In terms of discounts, it's going to depend a little bit on the situation. So for example, trainers, when you're thinking about doing remote consults and you're thinking about offering classes, don't jump in and start thinking, oh, hey, wait, you know what, I've got to charge less for this. Everyone else is going to be doing it and I've got to make sure I'm competitive. And everybody else was already doing what they were doing anyway, right? I mean, you don't have any more competition, right? So even if every single trainer in your area suddenly started offering remote consults, that's no more competition than every single trainer in your area offering in-person consults or offering classes or whatever else it is that you do, right? So that hasn't changed. The other thing that hasn't changed is the fact that your rates are part of your marketing message, right? That's part of how you position and part of how people see your value. That's not going to change either. And so I'd be really, really careful about jumping in and immediately discounting services, out of a sense of panic or out of a sense of guilt. To be super careful about that, because you could very, very easily undermine yourself doing that. So be careful there. I also, things like, for example, the idea of a daycare doing remote services. This is a little bit more challenging, right? Because that is more different than a trainer moving a consult or a class to online. And so in those sorts of situations, it may be that you relax your rates, but I wouldn't jump to that either. So again, you're thinking about the clientele you have. There's going to be some of your clients who they may be going to work, depending on where you live, they may be going to work the way they normally do. They may be working from home, but still being paid the way they're normally being paid. They need your help. You can't provide it to them in the same way, but you can absolutely go out of your way to find these creative ways to do it. And in those sorts of situations, your clients may be completely comfortable maintaining the rates you've always asked for. Hey, this is what we're going to do for you now since we can't do this. During this time, here's how we're going to continue to serve you. And so you just leave everything in place the way you would normally leave it in place. It may be that you have then some clients for whom this is creating economic hardship for them, and you may then relax your rates for those. Some of you may even decide that clients, for example, who are in great economic hardship, you'll continue to provide these services through this at no cost to yourself, if that's something that you're able to do. But don't just jump in and assume that you have to lower your rates for everyone. Remember, you have to get through this too in order to be there for them on the other side as well.
And I would just, a word of caution, discounts are usually effective in helping people make a buying decision. So someone's on the fence about whether to do it right now or just getting them to act right away. Discounts are great for that. They're not really good at convincing people to use a service they wouldn't normally use. So if you're trying to use discounts to get people convinced that remote training is a good idea, I don't think it's going to be as effective as doing something like doing a demo or letting people observe one class, or doing something where they can tangibly see it and see it in action. I don't know that the discount is really going to be enough for them to sign up for a service they weren't interested in. So before you go discounting all of that, think about, what is it I'm trying to do with this discount? Just would be my, so be careful about discounting things you don't need to discount, because again, that's not the way they're going to make that purchase decision. If it's about people not being able to afford services, like Veronica said, there's a lot that we can do as trainers to support our community. We can put out tips on our Facebook page. We can do videos. We can offer lots of support to make sure that we're helping all of our clients. But also, we need you to be here at the end of the crisis as well. So making sure that you're charging when you can. Anything?
And then one of the things that or Gina, maybe we wait on this until we're talking about communicating to clients, but just sort of communicating thinking about how to communicate the change in these services?
Yeah,
Should I?
let's, well, hold on. There were a couple questions that came in about reducing rates. So one person was saying they're reducing their rates a little bit because they're not going into homes. So they're able to see more clients, their volume can change. That's a good argument for having your rates be a little bit different. Let me see.
Yeah, just be careful again that you don't lower them to an extent that you impact your marketing, that you impact how clients see you and the value of your service.
Yeah, and some people asking about sliding scales and how to help out other industries like people who are working in restaurant or service industries who are unemployed. We could talk maybe about creative strategies for payment for those people, if you want to touch on that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and again, depending on who your clientele is and how what's going on in your individual local communities. Again, it may be that some of you are in a position to continue to do something sort of like a sliding scale where you're charging full price for your clients who are continuing to be employed at normal levels, and then reducing rates for people who aren't. The only thing is you're just wanting to make sure that, again, that it's something that you can do in a sustainable way, right? And I do think also, right, you can also look at ways of, as Gina was saying, of putting together payment plans and that sort of thing that just make it easier for people to access your services too. So much of this depends specifically on what your services are and how they work and the kind of time that they take. So for example, if I'm a daycare and I have 50 clients and 35 of my clients are employed as per usual, and I've switched over to the new way I'm serving them, and they're paying full price, and then I've got let's say 10 clients who are experiencing some economic hardship, and so I reduce rates for them, and then I have a handful of clients, and these numbers are random. I mean, it may be a different percentage for you, but then I have some clients who have actually lost their jobs, but for various reasons, because they've got kids at home and they're helping elderly parents and things like that, that they still really need my help. I may say to them, hey, for the duration of this, since I'm doing this all remotely anyway, and I will provide the service to you for free, right? So you can do things like that. Now with trainers, it's a little bit different, right? Even if you're doing remote consults and you can fit a few more into your schedule, you still have a finite number of people that you can serve. And so I want you to just remember that it's the same now as it was before. You have to be careful about that you have to stay afloat too. And so you have to make sure that you're filling the number of spots paid that you need to fill in order to keep yourself going, right? So I just want you to be careful about that. We want to do everything we can to help.
You cannot put more hours in your day, despite what some of you seem to think. You can only see so many clients. You only have so much time to make during which to make your income.
Right.
Sorry.
And there was a question about bringing in new clients. Cassandra was saying that about how to bring in new clients during this time, and part of this is about not just adjusting your services; it's also about adjusting your marketing message, right? So going back to what Gina was saying about stepping back, getting outside of our own experiences and what's going on for us right now, and thinking about what do people in my community with dogs need, and how can I provide that need? How is that need similar to before all this started, and how is it different from that now too? And so what services am I offering? So we talked about thinking about the examples of classes for working from home, or consults about working from home, or keeping dogs and kids gainfully occupied together, etc. You're sort of thinking about those, and I'm sure you've got all kinds of other ideas as well. And then you're adjusting the marketing message around that too. So you're going, it is you're doing.
You're gone. Shoot. Well, look, you're back, I think. Go ahead.
I don't know what you didn't hear.
Start with marketing again. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. So just that you're wanting to look at the services that you're offering and what's going on in your environment, and then adjust the marketing message around that too. Here's what we're doing to make life a little bit easier, as you know, with your dog, as we all go through this crisis together. Here's what I'm doing, and here's how it will help. And so that it's you're not going to stop marketing, but what you're marketing and your marketing message might tweak just a little bit to speak to people's current concerns.
And that kind of speaks a little bit to Sandy's comment about, what's a good script for students who ask for a discount because it's remote versus in person. In other words, how do you talk to people about this remote work? And I think one thing, which is just to say, in this time of crisis, this is how we're serving you now, as opposed to options or really pointing out how things are different. It's just, they have a need. Here's how we're working you have a need. Here's how we're working to fill that need right now.
Right. And one of the things too is that I think one of the things you want to really communicate to clients is that this isn't something new. There are a lot of trainers all around the world doing remote consults. And this is just a different modality we can use. Same results, we're just getting them in a different way.
Right. Sorry, digging through questions. Helping people get set up for online consults. You want to talk about that just a little bit?
Helping people get set up for online consults in terms of
helping clients to, how to get them set up.
So we generally are recommending Zoom because it's so simple. It's a super easy learning curve for you if you haven't used it before.
You're using it right now if you hadn't used it before.
On it right now, exactly. Yeah. And your clients don't have to do anything ahead of time to get ready for it. Right? They don't have to be tech savvy. They don't have, all they have to have is a phone or a tablet or a computer. And so that's one thing that we would recommend and would be super simple to do. And so that way they don't really have to get set up. I mean, all you have to say to them is you're going to hit this button at the time, and just be somewhere with your dog that you can be comfortable, and that you can set the computer up or the tablet up to face yourself, so that you can see me and I can see you, and you can back up and I can see your dog, and it's really quite that simple.
Yeah, and there have been some specific Zoom questions. I'm not sure how far we want to dig into this, so I'll just answer a couple quick. We may end up talking about remote stuff the details of remote work more specifically later, but I just want to say, so someone was asking about that it only allows 40 minutes. And so some people do longer consultations than that. There are larger plans that you can purchase. That's the free plan, but they're not that expensive. I had them up the other day. I think it's like $15, $16 a month. So you can look into purchasing a plan that will allow you, the next plan up allows you unlimited time. So just kind of to know about that. As far as using Zoom, considering that you're moving around and the clients are moving around, Zoom, you can Zoom from your tablet. Some of you are today, or your phone as well. So it doesn't have to be a desktop computer by any stretch. Yes, Zoom is offering people who are getting started webinars. In fact, someone said they're having one today, but they're doing them, I think, every day. And 10:30 Pacific is what they're saying. You can check Zoom's website. Zoom is zoom.us, just to make sure that you can find that. But they do offer webinars for how to get started with our platform, how to work it, give you a chance to see what it's like, and those are all free. So certainly you can learn some more there. If you are working one-on-one with clients using Zoom, you have unlimited time. So that's your time limit to the 40 minutes is only going to come into play if you're doing like a class or multiple people logged in. If it's just you and your client, you can work together for as long as you need. And I think, 24 hours, something like that.
Quite a long training session.
Yes. So Zoom is one. GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar are other. Is another similar platform. Someone asked about using Facebook Live. You can set up a special group, a closed group on Facebook, and Facebook Live into that group. If you're using Zoom, technically, although I've had some trouble getting it to work, you can take your seminar, your Zoom live onto your Facebook page. It'll go live Facebook and live to YouTube. So there are lots of platform options out there. Some of them free, some of them paid, just depending on your needs. I wanted to come back to marketing because we're getting some questions about that, and because something you said, Veronica, jogged something in my mind. I was thinking about, so we're talking about needing to keep the kids busy. I was also thinking about, we always think about what our clients need based on our dog behaviors. And that's great. We should be thinking about that. But I'm also thinking about this time where when we're putting physical distance, we're also socially becoming more isolated, particularly if you are in a shelter in place. And so some of your clients need to just connect with people. And so like a coffees and cookie hour where, you're doing some fun things with their dog and having their coffee in the middle of their day, or, creating that virtual water cooler for our clients right now, whether we're doing that with classes and services, or whether we're doing that to keep our communities together. Because one of the things that we wanted to talk about was communicating with clients and preparing for the recovery. And I will say that the way that our businesses come out of this healthy is if we keep our communities healthy. We keep our communication with our clients. We stay in contact with them, and we keep a nice, healthy community. So thinking about, yes, those services that we can provide, but also how do we keep connected with our clients? How do we keep checking in with them, reminding them that we care about them, we care about their dogs, reminding them that we will be here when this is over, and that we're here in whatever ways we can be now. So building those platforms, whether that's whether you're using social media to do that, whether you're using regular e-newsletters, or just regular emails, where we're touching base and helping to stay connected, and helping them to have a way to talk to somebody, I think is important right now.
I think that's such a great point. And, depending on how long, this situation goes on too, it may be that things that have felt like sort of a, non-essential, things like tricks classes and that sort of thing, that just kind of like more the high-end hobbyist sorts of clients have been interested in. Those kinds of things what people are interested in may shift over time too. So I want you to be kind of, flexible in your thinking, and be really paying attention to your community, because along the lines of that kind of just sort of, social bit, there may be a point too where people just need something fun to do, and so a way to get out and be social without getting out and being social, right? And so in addition to just having a chance to hang out with dogs, and that's thinking about things like tricks classes, and getting creative. Those of you who do sports classes, can you get creative about what people could be doing in their homes with everyday objects, and just giving people something to do. I'm up here in Oregon, and all of our statewide, our restaurants have been closed, and it's such a small thing, right? I mean, in the big picture of it, it's such a tiny thing, but as a foodie, I'm already feeling just 2 weeks in, but oh gosh, I want to go out and have that social experience in a restaurant, and And people are going to be feeling more of that as time goes on, and in ways that are, much more important than, my need for a nice meal. And so thinking about ways that we can provide just life experiences that people are missing. So that's just kind of be thinking ahead about that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, if you serve retirement, a big retirement area, the retirees and our senior citizens are really they're really isolating right now. And so you may have a class format that allows for some chat time, that allows for them to just connect. certainly time for them to show off their dog, but also just, you know, time for them to have a voice too, because they need that right now. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Other marketing thoughts, Veronica, let's make sure we get to that one.
Well, the biggest one I think is not to stop doing it, and in fact, even to think about doing more than you have in the past, especially for those of you who, you know, if you are in a position right now where you've been experiencing cancellations, or you have had a slowdown in inquiries and work, and you've got more time on your hands than you usually do, you know, our industry has had a very bad habit of kind of pushing marketing off to, you know, ooh, sometime when I have time. And Gina and I have always joked about how that never magically appears. And yet here, you know, one, you know, if you can look at it as a silver lining in all of this, is that a lot of you do have more time than you've had in the past. And this is a time to double down, triple down on the marketing, to do more of it, both in terms of sharing with people what you're doing now, to keep yourself, you know, to provide service to them and to keep yourself afloat, but also in terms of, you know, moving forward as well, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit later. So I think the biggest piece is looking at getting serious about doing more of it.
Keep connected with your referral sources. They are still, you know, our veterinarians are still having dogs come in that need help, and they need to know, you know, who can I send them to and for what. So make sure you're keeping them up to date on what services you're able to offer right now and how you're helping people. Don't let them think that there's just there is no training happening right now, or there's no daycare happening right now. If there is, make sure they know what services are out there, and keep up to date, and vice versa. Listen, like, are there things you ask them? How can I help you right now? What does your staff need right now? What do your clients need right now? And Phil, you know, it's the old Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers. We need to look for our helpers who can help our industry right now, and then we need to look for how can we be a helper. How can we support our communities? And that includes our referral sources. I think the businesses that come through crisis stronger are businesses who keep those connections, who do a good job of staying in front of people and helping connect and support people, as opposed to just, you know, going quiet. If you want to come out of this stronger, it's to build those touch points and those relationships with your community.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to vet clinics, don't forget the pet supply stores, right? They're still operating too. In fact, even in the Bay Area in shelter in place, pet supply stores have been allowed to stay open. And so that's you know, that's something to really be thinking about as well, that they are potentially really strong ally in getting messages out about services that you're providing. And as Gina said, think about what you can do for them too, right? So, you know, you could be doing all sorts of things, giving them materials about the kinds of mental enrichment toys and products and things like that you highly recommend. You can be giving them things like that to be passing out to their people to help with their sales in this time of crisis. And then on the back of that, have information about the services that you're providing. I mean, you know, thinking about it's so much easier you know, to ask referral sources to assist us if we can find a way to assist them first, right? And so just, you know, kind of getting creative around those sorts of things too.
Imagine if you just once a week on your Facebook page did a quick little demo of your favorite toy for quarantine. Like each week you highlighted a different toy, or let your dog highlight a different toy, but you give the heads up to the store ahead of time. Hey, next week, this is the toy I'm going to be highlighting. Have you got enough? You know, can clients get it? Just working together for those simple things. It's beneficial for the clients. It's beneficial for the store. It's beneficial for, again, just you being a helper to your community. Some great ideas. other thoughts on marketing other than just do it. Your marketing may look different now, right? Right now, your marketing message is going to be centered around things like, we're in this together, we're here to support you, we care about you and your dogs. Veronica was talking about that marketing message shift. So it may be less of a specific sales message right now, but it still needs to be out there. Just to make a note in the chat that someone mentions food puzzle of the day, hashtag food puzzle of the day on Instagram to help folks in Brooklyn and finding people.
That's awesome, Elizabeth.
That's great. That's great. So that's a good one. Someone else says they have been increasing their social media posts threefold. So they're spending much more time on social media than their business might otherwise, because that's where our clients are right now. So that's good. Other thoughts on communicating with clients or preparing for recovery, Veronica, that we haven't?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think is really critical about the communication piece, and then I've seen a few questions about this a little bit earlier in the chat pod as well. So when you're thinking about rolling out these alternative services, whether it's online consults or remote classes or another, these ideas about your remote daycare, things like that. One of the things that that I want you to keep in mind is that how you communicate this is going to make an enormous difference in terms of how many people take you up on it. There's a real difference between saying, hey, we're creating this option, would you like to opt in? You're sort of making it a choice, asking people if it's okay with them, what do they think about that, would they like to do that? That is really different than confidently putting out there, hey, again, we're all in this together. We know that even in the middle of this crisis, you and your dog still have needs. This is what we're going to do to make sure that we continue to offer you the services and the benefits of the services that you came to us for. So you're presenting it as a done deal, right? Before it was this way, now you're going to do it this way, as opposed to giving people the option of opting in. Now, it doesn't mean people can't say, no, I don't want to. And that can absolutely happen, but it's much less likely to happen if you're confidently putting it forward. So this is what we're going to do for you, right? And here's how it's going to benefit. And part of this too is in your messaging, when you put that out there with this confidence, and this, we're in this together sort of messaging that Gina's talking about, you also want to anticipate pushback. You want to anticipate people's concerns. You want to anticipate, any of the objections that people might have. And so, for example, with remote training, pointing out that this has been a modality in our industry for a long time. It's well tested. Trainers all around the world have gotten fantastic results with it. And so, so that they're not thinking about, oh, this isn't as good, right? You're just sort of moving that thought right out of the way before it can even happen, and also talking about what some of the benefits are, right? I mean, and some of those are about keeping everybody safe, right? This is a way to continue to get training results while keeping people safe, but also about what happens if we don't do it. What happens if we let the training lapse? And what happens if we let the training lapse and you're working from home with your dog, right? So just to say, I want to make sure that we avoid the downsides of putting this down. That we don't want to lose the results we've already gotten. We don't want to let these behavioral issues get worse. We don't want to let new behaviors creep up as a result of the changes in our lives right now, etc. So just be really proactive about putting out why people want this, and rather don't be tentative about it. Be confident about this. That messaging is going to make an enormous difference.
Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to point out. Sorry, you probably saw me shaking my head weirdly because I'm looking at all your comments in the chat and catching back up. And a couple of things I want to point out. Kate, what a great comment when we were talking about connecting with your referral sources. Kate is offering her vet her lunch and learns, but she's offering them remotely.
Wow.
So what a nice break for vet staff to be able to get on and chat with you a little bit. That's great. I love that. Some of you, I'll find it. Sorry, lost it for a second. Someone is talking about reminding clients to support small businesses. There's been some effort around that. What I will say, we're getting a lot of questions about relief and disaster relief, and what can I apply for or not apply for. And I will tell you that is nothing is solidified. Even the national legislation coming out has not been reconciled yet. We're still figuring it all out. But just know that there are some possibilities out there for you if you suffered income loss. And the first place I would go is to the U.S. Small Business Administration, who has set up an economic injury disaster loan program. If you're needing a loan, low interest loan, that's one place. But also just keep an eye out in your local communities, again, for the helpers that are going, I think, to probably step forward. But give it time. Everyone is still figuring this out. And I think in the weeks to come, we may see more relief than what we're getting right now. And I think it's just because everyone's scrambling for trying to figure out how to get that together. So for those of you who've asked about that, just know that we'll keep you posted as we hear of things, but don't be surprised that it's not there today, because this just wasn't planned for. If you are losing income, there are some things that you can do to put yourself in better situations to take advantage of that relief. And that is to make sure that you are doing careful documentation of all revenue loss. So if someone calls to cancel services, you need to know the client, you need to know what the service was that they canceled, you need to know the reason that they gave you on the phone for that cancellation, and make sure you're documenting that each day and just keeping those records in the hope that, at some point we can use those if relief becomes available. Just point that out. Can I repeat that name? Yes, I can. It's the U.S. Small Business Administration, and the name of the loan program is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. And it's not available to everyone yet, but it's available in certain areas. The website is really good. It gives you a phone number. If you have questions, it gives you a way to apply online. So I would hit them up for that. Thank you, Veronica, for typing that in. Oh, good. Some of you said that from the first cancellation, you've been recording. That's great. Those records are going to be essential later if you need to claim relief. So good job. Okay, so any last questions on alternative services, policies, communicating with clients, or getting ready for recovery? Or is everyone taking a deep breath, feeling good? Let's hope. We're still going to be here to continue supporting you. I want you to know that we will make this recording available on our YouTube channel. It's the DogBiz YouTube channel. So feel free to share that with any dog pro. Again, I just can't tell you exactly when it will be ready. I will put out on our Facebook pages to let you know when that's up and loaded and ready to go. We can do, you can get some free tips and advice to kind of help you through this process in our newsletter services. Those are the monthly minute for dog pros and 2 Feet Forward specifically for walkers. You normally can sign up for either one of those. Those are free. You can sign up for those on the website in the footer. It's always there. Like I said, at the moment, Chrome is having some issues, but we should have that worked out shortly. Follow DogBiz or the Dog Walking Academy pages, again, just so that you can stay current on whatever conversations we're going to be having in the future. But we want to be here to support you. Also, make sure that you're letting us know as things change for you, what kinds of questions you have, where you want us to take deeper dives. And you can do that either by posting it on those pages, or you can email the office at info@dogbizsuccess.com. And I think if you look over in the chat that Tia is just quickly putting up as many of those links as she can to all of those resources. So stay in contact with us. We will be reaching out to you and staying in communication with you more frequently, just to help support you and your businesses through this. Veronica, do you have any last parting words want to share?
No, just again, thank you all for being here. As Gina says, we're working furiously behind the scenes, looking at all sorts of ways that I can support you. This will not be the last thing we do. And I think, one of the things that, taking a look, since a lot of you are looking at doing remote work and have lots of questions about that, taking a look at doing what we can do to support you on that, and marketing and all sorts of things. So just know this is not the last you'll hear from us. And just remember, again, we're all in this together. And again, there's so much uncertainty. There's so much we don't know. But take a deep breath and remember that there are things that are under your control, and you have great creativity individually and together as a community here. And to take control of that agency where you can, to remember what Gina said about thinking about what people in your community need, your referral sources, your clients, and how you can serve them. If we all step outside of our immediate anxieties and needs and think about what others need, we are going to find a way through this together. And so deep breaths, and hang in there, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you need us.
Thanks to all of you for being here and for being so committed to the dogs and the clients in your communities. I'm just overwhelmed when I take a look at what you guys are out there doing for dogs. So thanks for being here, supporting each other, and for being out there supporting dogs. Again, know that we're here. We'll continue to offer our support, and we just really appreciate you and hope that you and your businesses stay healthy. So good luck, everybody.